There you go. This part. Oh, here you go. Here's why we have a mic 2. Missing sensors mic 2. Take a look at that. So this is an iPhone 11 that is restarting every 3 minutes. And in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to properly diagnose this using the panic logs and some other troubleshooting steps. So make sure you guys pay attention to the full video because there's a lot of useful information here that will help you solve these cases. So you won't have to be guessing on what parts to swap out. In this video, I'm going to show you guys this specific case, which is actually a missing sensors mic 2. So there's a very specific thing to look at when you get that panic log. And I'm going to show you guys different tools on how to diagnose it, like the panic log analyzer, the panicfull.com website. So let's go ahead and get started with this video. So one of the first things I do want to show you guys is the written version of today's video, which is on the Repair Wiki. The Repair Wiki is Louis Rossmann's project where it's basically a Wikipedia style website where anyone can contribute solutions to. So one of the solutions I've contributed is pretty much everything you need to know about iPhone 11s that random restart. So which parts are the most common failures, kind of the symptoms and the solution. So what to look for in the panic logs, at least, the known solutions. There's like a million things that can cause a panic log and restart, but these are the known solutions. So if you don't want to sit through the whole video, check this out. Just go to repair.wiki on the upper right corner, search iPhone 11 and find the how to fix an iPhone 11 that random restarts. Now, if you have solutions that you want to contribute, Louis Rossmann is actually willing to pay you to create these type of guides. So reach out to me through my website if you are interested in creating these type of guides. We're always looking for people to contribute, and if they're high quality guides that are very useful for common issues, then we're willing to pay you for your contributions. So reach out to me through my website. So let's go ahead and get started with the actual troubleshooting. All right, so one of the first things you want to do when you're troubleshooting this issue is verify that you actually have a 3-minute restart problem. So what I would do is go to the clock app, go to stopwatch, and then start it. Let it run. And obviously, if it restarts every 3 minutes, it should go up to about 3 minutes. Now, depending on how fast you get to the clock and everything, it might be less than 3 minutes, but overall, should be roughly 3 minutes. Most people will see like 240, 250 before it restarts. So once you confirm that you actually have an actual restart issue and you're able to replicate it, then what I would recommend is go to your settings, scroll down to privacy, scroll down to analytics and improvements, go to analytics data, and then you have to do this quickly because if you wait too long, then the phone will restart. You won't be able to get to here. But you scroll down to where you find the files that start with panic full, as you can see here, and they're dated. So make sure you go to the latest one. Today is July 8th. So scroll all the way down and find the very last one that starts with panic full, and that's the one you want to look at. Now, if you're not technically inclined, what you can do is just take a screenshot or grab your phone and take a picture of this, and this is all we need to basically diagnose it. So if you look up closely, there's a bunch of text, and we just need the upper section. So no need to take a screenshot of all this. We just need this upper part because that's really that has the most important information. Let's take a look at it and see what we can figure out. Now that you've found the panic log and kind of reviewed it, there's a better way to do this. So if you're at a computer and you're at a repair shop or a technician, it's actually better to do this on the computer because it's just a lot easier personally. So what I would do is go to your computer. Now there's a few ways to do this. One is the panic log analyzer. Now, one of the biggest things that I hate about people who use a panic log analyzer is that they don't read the actual panic log. So in this video, pay attention because I'm going to show you exactly how to read it. Some people will just look at the solutions here that it shows on the bottom. So here, let me show you. So we have the phone on, we have it connected to the computer, we have trusted it already. And then this is the iDevice panic log analyzer. I will link it down below. And what you want to do is read the logs and then click on the latest one. Now ignore this part. Please do not just refer to this only. The important part is up here. So what I recommend is take a screenshot of this. That way if the phone restarts, you have captured the panic log. And then let's take a closer look to the actual panic log. So ignore this. Do not look at this. Too many people rely on that solely, and then they don't know what to do from there because it's not truly accurate. I'll reach out to the developer, see if maybe he can fix it. But the important thing to look at is this upper section. So if we look at roughly this section here, and it's not really all that. What we are looking for is this right here where it says missing sensors mic 2. And really what matters is this mic 2 value or information. So it's telling us there's something missing, and it tells us what that missing item is. So missing sensors mic 2. So mic 2 is referring to, this is the phone itself, and if you just kind of think about it, there's multiple microphones on this phone, and when you're on a phone call and you have it up to your ear, the bottom mic is going to be the most common microphone used because in theory the phone calls is the most common function you use on these. So this is considered mic 1, but in our case we have a mic 2 issue, and mic 2 is actually this one up here, which you can't really see, but there's actually a microphone in this housing that's back here. So if you have any panic logs that says mic 2, you want to focus on this microphone here. If you have something that mentions mic 1, then you want to focus on the microphones here on the bottom. So there's going to be different panic logs based on what your specific device is. In our case, we have mic 2. So common one that you will see is actually PRS0. So on iPhone 11, if you get PRS0, that's actually referring to pressure sensor number 0, I guess. That's at least my kind of interpretation. You can see here it says missing sensors PRS0. And this is all you need to look at in the whole panic log. It's just this upper section. Missing sensors PRS0, and PRS0 is referring to the charging port flex. There's a pressure sensor on the charging port flex, and if that one's damaged, it's unplugged, it's defective, it will restart every 3 minutes, and this is the panic log you'll see. And then another one you'll see every once in a while, it's a little less common, it happens a lot after battery replacements, is this one here, missing sensors TGOB or TGOV. And this is saying that basically the battery data is missing. In other words, the battery is plugged in, but the phone cannot communicate with the battery, therefore it cannot read the battery data, and the device restarts every 3 minutes because of that. Now in this specific example, we actually have two issues here. We have TGOB, TGOV, these are basically the same thing, battery, and then we have this one, mic 2. So we have two issues to solve in this case, right? So keep that in mind. If you ever are looking at this and you see multiple values, then you have to solve for both. Now in this phone, if I were to unplug everything, then we'll have basically everything that's required on this phone so it doesn't restart. You will get those listed out here. So one of the things when you're troubleshooting is you cannot just unplug. Like, okay, we said on this phone that it has a mic 2 issue. You cannot just unplug the mic 2 and then see if it works. These phones, since the iPhone 10 and newer, for whatever reason, Apple decided that their operating system will require these sensors to be plugged in and detected. And if they're not detected, it'll restart every 3 minutes for some reason. So now that we kind of narrowed down the issue to the mic 2 issue, I do want to show you another tool that we can use for troubleshooting. Now, not every panic log will give you missing sensors mic 1, mic 2, PRS0, TGOB. There's going to be other panic logs that are very random. I'm sure if you're in my Facebook group, you see people posting panic logs all the time with zero information. If you get a panic log that gives you some mumbo jumbo that you cannot decipher, one of the first things you should do no matter what is just put the board into a known good housing. So for example, I have an iPhone 11 housing that only has known good parts, and all I need is a battery, housing, power button, charging port. This is what I do whenever I can't figure out what the panic log is referring to. I literally just put the board into this housing, which has a known good power button, charging port, battery, and screen. And these are all my parts that I've tested and used for data recovery all the time. You could even do board only with the necessary parts. So make sure, especially if you're a repair shop, you should keep known good parts in stock so you can use it for troubleshooting purposes. So in the case that you test known good parts and you're still unsure what to do, then you should check out panicfull.com. This is a website by my friend Jonas, which is a basically online version of the Panic Log Analyzer. It's a different person who made this, but you should definitely check it out. Now, the tricky part about this one is you have to go through a specific process to use this site. So let me show you really quick. What I actually use is the Panic Log Analyzer. I read the logs. And one of the things, especially if you have a device that's been restarting for a long time, you have a million panic logs here. So what I like to do is delete all from the device, and they're gone. So now the device does not have any more panic logs. But if you give it enough time, it will restart on its own here in a second. So after you delete all the panic logs from the device, what you want to do is here on 3D Tools is go here where it says Crash Analysis and click Crash Details. And sometimes, for whatever reason, it doesn't want to read the panic logs. So if you run into that, there's one easy way where you can copy the panic log through 3D Tools into the Panic Full site and just paste it here. And in this case, for whatever, I can't seem to figure out why it's not working. So in that case, what you can do is go to Privacy, Analytics and Improvements, Analytics Data. And here you can see all the panic logs are gone except 2, which just happened here while I was recording. So what you can do is go to the most recent one, and then I'm gonna just airdrop it to myself. All right, so I'm gonna send it. And now I got the panic log on my phone, and then from here, I'm gonna email it to myself. So I'm gonna save it on my phone, and then I'm gonna email it to myself. All right, so I received the file, wanna download it, save it to my desktop, and then I have the file here on my desktop. So I could open it here, but this is not what we want to do. What we want to do is go to panicfull.com. Now, this is not a free website for the Panic Log Analyzer function. It is, if you go here on the corner, there's a subscribe button, which will show you the price. So it's basically 40 bucks a year, and you get a lot of different functions for the tool. So let me show you what that looks like as a pro subscriber. Now, if you do want to sign up, and you use my coupon code BCCBR, you get an extra 30 on top of that 1 year. And it looks like it's not an automatic renewal. So you basically you pay 40 bucks and you get the full access to the tool. So this is what it looks like when you're actually subscribed as a pro user. And this is the panic log that I got from the device. So here you can see it tells you everything about the device. And it says components involved: microphone, power button flex, audio circuit, audio codec IC, interposer. And here on the right side, you get a description of kind of what causes it, average reboot time, and then it gives you some suggestions on how to fix it. So it's a really useful tool. There's a bunch of other useful stuff here as well. So if you go back to the home page, you could put like error 9, and it gives you some known causes. If you go back, 4013, it gives you some other stuff. Really useful site. Let's see, iPhone 7. So iPhone 7 audio codec, it gives you the part number code, like a lot of stuff. And this is free, I believe. I'm currently logged in. Actually, let me use the logged out version. Oh yeah, so there's a lot of functions here that are pro. So you can see pro, pro, pro. Now, if you try to use this as a non-pro, this is what you'll see. Now, it does say here, depending on the solution, you might be able to view it for free. So keep that in mind. But this is another option for those of you who don't want to watch this full video or troubleshoot or fully understand, panic logs. You can check out panicfull.com to get a lot of useful information for, board level issues or, different issues here as well. So you can see a lot of awesome content here. So if you're a board level technician, this might be a useful tool for you to sign up for. But now let's get to the actual repairing of this phone. So this phone has been restarting every 3 minutes throughout this whole video. And one of the first things, like I said, I like to do is test known good parts. But let's see, let's get this board out. Okay, so we got the motherboard. Let's take a look at it. under the microscope. So like I mentioned, the issue we're trying to solve for is mic 2. That is this connector here. If you look at the housing, this is the power button connector. So this is the power button, comes here, and then it wraps around and goes somewhere in here. So that's this one here. So let's take a look at this connector. Now, one of the things we want to look for is, assuming we've tested with known good parts and it's still doing the same thing, or let's say you don't know if you have known good parts. So what you can do instead is let's do some measurements of the power button connector. So here on ZXW, we have what is called the board view software, which includes known good readings. So actually, let me rotate this to match how I have this laid out. So there's a button here at the top. I don't know if you guys can see it here at the top where it lets you rotate. Click it, and now we're rotated. And we're going to go to the power button connector. So as you can see, we have basically, let's put it like that. So these little red numbers here correspond to a diode mode reading, and we want to make sure we match up those readings to our board. So on the upper left, you see my multimeter. I have it in diode mode, and essentially you put a red probe on ground. So for example, I think this should work. Actually, it doesn't. Let me put it, I'm gonna put it on the screw post here. So put that there. All right, I moved to a different screw post, but that's irrelevant here. So this diode mode, this pin, 567, ZXW shows 568. This shows ground, which is gray. And we get a reading here. Really what you're looking for is a reading. These are all so far showing a reading that very close to what ZXW is showing. Ground. Make sure your probe is touching the pin. Sometimes you get tricked if you don't have it. OL. So there's some pins that correctly read OL, so keep that in mind. All right, so I missed that ground. Ground, reading, reading. All right, so basically all the pins that are supposed to have readings have readings. Now, if we did find one of these pins said OL, then we'd have to try to find it. So for example, if you zoom in here, you can actually see the name of the line that says mic 2. So you can see how if there's an issue with the rear mic 2 line, that could be related to your mic 2 restart issue. So if you follow this through the sandwich, you'll see it's actually connected through the sandwich. And it's actually pretty common to have a sandwich issue cause a mic 2 problem because the mic 2 connects to the bottom board and it has to make its way through the bottom board up to the top board and then to the audio IC. So if you have the audio IC removed, you will also have a mic 2 issue. You'll probably have other issues too, like restarting when you plug in the charger. If you did have a hard drop and it was restarting, then maybe. So essentially there's connections between here that can disconnect and cause the restart issue. But in our case, we don't have that. So now let's take a look at the board here. So we're gonna do two things at the same time. One is test my board with known good parts. Here, you know what, just to make it easier so you guys can see, is I'm going to only plug in the power button. And these are known good parts. Keep that in mind. Known good is not the same as brand new. Brand new can be defective. Actually, power buttons are notorious to be defective if you buy new. So if you are gonna do this repair, make sure you stock a few just in case you have a defective one. All right, so I have all the bare minimum plugged in. So I have the board, power button, charging port, battery, screen. And essentially, I'm gonna use the charging port to boot the device. And then we're essentially gonna run a stopwatch to try to replicate the issue. Because in the beginning of the video, you saw I was running the stopwatch and we replicated the issue. Now, while that's going, let's take a look at this housing. See if we can spot the cause of the 3-minute restart. So let's reset the stopwatch and let it go. If we get past the 3-minute mark, then we've made it. We've essentially confirmed that the issue is a parts issue, and now he's got to replace it. So the power button flex runs through all these parts here. So we do have to kind of get all these things out. Oops, I was out of view. And there's one screw here. Let's see, move this out of the way. There's one screw here on the side. Got that screw out. Let's go under the microscope to take a look at how this is all laid out. Oh, you know what? Look at that. Looks like someone's definitely been here. And the question is, how do I get this flex out? There you go. This part. Oh, here you go. Here's why we have a mic 2, missing sensors mic 2. Take a look at that. So this is the mic itself, and then here's where it's damaged. So you guys see that? Here's your 3-minute restart fault. So as it turns out, it was a parts issue all along, but you can see pretty much all the things we can do to try to troubleshoot. And just as proof, this one is still running. It's been 3 minutes and it's still going. All we need is battery, charging port, screen, and power button. Different models actually require different things, so keep that in mind. But in this case, the power button needs to be replaced. So basically just follow all the steps in reverse. Well, you have to replace it by taking off these screws, get the power button out, put a new one in, and then fully reassemble it back to how it was, and that should have your 3-minute restart issue solved, because we have now confirmed it that here on my known good parts, it is solved. That's a really long roundabout way to say we had a bad power button flex. Now, but like I mentioned, the important thing is knowing how to read the panic log, look for the missing sensors, and understanding which missing sensors means what. So mic 1 is going to be the charging port most likely. PRS 0 is going to be the charging port, and it's not always going to be the charging port itself. Sometimes there's like water damage that has ate away at the charging port connector on the board, or there's like a loose resistor or filter on the board. But essentially, it kind of narrows down where to look for the problem. So use the panic logs, read it, ignore the suggestions by the panic log analyzer, and just read the panic log. Try to find keywords. For example, recently I saw a panic log that literally said TriStar in there. So maybe the issue was TriStar. Now, I didn't have the device with me, so I don't know if that was a solution, but read through the panic logs and find some keywords that might hint to where the issue is. So hopefully you now know how to better read the panic log itself versus relying on the panic log analyzer possible solutions. Now, if you want to check out the panicfull.com software, that is a really useful tool, but it is not free. So if you use my promo code VCCBR, you can sign up for the pro version of panicfull.com, and you get an extra 30 days of your 1-year subscription. So I think it's a pretty useful tool, and there's a lot of information on there outside of just panic logs. So check that out. And we do have the written version of kind of everything about the iPhone 11 and the restart issue on the Repair Wiki. So check that out. If you want to contribute to the Repair Wiki, reach out to me through my website, and let's see what you can contribute and see if this is something we can pay you for. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. I will link to my panic log cheat sheet. So I have my own private sheet that I share with only my Locals community members. I have my different solder courses down below. If you want my recommended tools, I'll have that as well. And if you want to get one of these t-shirts, I will have those linked in the video description. So thanks everyone for watching. Check out this video where I cover panic logs as well. I hope you guys find all these videos helpful. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.